Hello. So, Miss V King, I'm not able to hear you.
My goodness, I did all of that talking. I did my intro without people hearing me, so I'm going to redo it real quick.
I
Welcome
was
to the
seeing you. I saw you talking. I was like, okay, you got me up in the waiting room while you doing your lip sync. I was like, what's happening?
Oh my goodness, so too tight. We are always working things out. So it says we're live on Facebook. Say who's going to let me know because I don't see us. And so this show is so important. I want to just do a really quick recap. This is the Fee King Show. We are newly back live streaming on the StreamYard platform. And so sometimes there's some kinks. We're working the kinks out. I'm so excited about the Fee King Show today. I'm your hostess with the mostest, your local fitness go-to girl, Fee King. The show is all about who are you, like on a cellular level. Who are you when you're high, when you're somewhere mid-level, or when things are feeling and looking dark? Who are you? How are you showing up? What do you do? What's your why do you do what you do? And then how are you keeping it all together amidst your expansive to do list, i.e., what is your self care modality? I got my girl, Too Tight Tonya Jones of the Radical Breath in the house, my traveling expert, my go to girl for mindfulness meditation. She's knowledgeable. She is powerful. She's empowering and inspiring. And she's pretty too. What? Welcome to the Fake King Show. Welcome back, girlfriend. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hi. Thank you, V
Hi.
King. Good to see
Thank
you this morning.
you.
Lady in red, looking good.
I did this for you, girl. I put on my Her Glow candy, shop ear glow, ear candy,
Yes.
earrings, and I even put on a dress for you. I put on a dress, but my freaking A banner. I said, you know what, Fiki, we gonna work this thing out. Sekou was
Sound
like,
like for the 90s. Look what I do for you. Look what I do, y'all. I do for you.
that just goes to show how much I love you. Like, why are you so angry, black friend? Too
Dang.
tight. I am ready to jump right into this. So I have some questions for you. I even wrote them down. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Okay. No. Let me say that. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
With the fist. Too tight, Tony. All right. Today's segment, and I'm hoping that we're going to do this every Friday as often as you are available. Oh, no, you're not going to throw up a mug on me. What? You're not the only one drinking. What?
Don't
Mm-mm.
make me put a sticker on here next time so mine says something too, because you know I'm not gonna lose in the mug contest.
You know what? Don't challenge me. What you don't want to do. What you don't want to do is challenge Fee King. I'm just saying. I'm black from and in Omaha. Okay. Too tight, Tonya Jones. Tonya, where all have you traveled, girl?
So I had to make a little list.
Okay,
When you
good.
asked me that.
Proper preparation prevents poor
Um,
people.
okay. So we have Austria, we have Belgium, we have Canada, Colombia, uh, Czech Republic, let's see, Dominican Republic, France, Germany, Guatemala, Hungary, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Netherlands, Panama, Peru, Poland, Portugal, South Africa, Spain, St. Martin, Switzerland, Turkey, UK, and 48 US states. I just got to get those Dakotas. That's going to be one of my camping trips. Yeah, and then those places I've been to a number of times. Like sometimes when I go to new places, but I'm like, oh, I want to go back there. So
Woo, Tonya, I mean, girl, you have been some places, been around the world. Yeah. I can't find my baby. I don't know, and I don't know why. Girl, I love it. All right,
one of
beautiful.
them.
So, okay, I will share some of the places that I've had the great
Yes.
honor and privilege of blessing. And you know what? Unlike you, I didn't write a list, so I'm going off the dome. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
I've been
Okay.
to Paris, Belgium, Malaysia, Thailand, London, Scotland, the Netherlands twice, Cancun, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Hawaii, Why I gotta say it like that? Hawaii. Did I say Germany? Germany and Italy. I think I said Germany, Italy, and I
Mhm.
think that's it. That's all. And of course, locally, which we live in one of the most beautiful countries. Oh, Puerto Rico!
I
Wepa!
know. So I was talking about the U.S. territories. Yes.
Yes, yes.
hmm
Mm,
People be trying to leave out Puerto Rico. I'm like, y'all part of
cannot
us.
love Puerto
hmm
Rico. All right, so two tight
Me
Tonya
too.
knows.
Puerto Rico.
So what's been because I know you have so many favorites. Oh, and you know what? Shame on us. We forgot the DR Dominican Republic. We were there
Oh, I
together.
said it. I said it.
You always trying to one
It's
up.
on the list.
Why you got to one
You
up
better
me?
do a rewind. You better do a rewind on StreamYard.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Your turn.
hmm
Mhm. She said, Actually, let me see. Do I have a photo of us in the
Oh.
DR? I think. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Mhm.
I thought I did. My bad. I'll share it later. All right. So, out of all of the places that you've traveled to, both abroad and local, what have been your top two favorites and why?
I can't I can't do top two favorites. Like it's just too many
She
things
knows.
because every place has something beautiful and unique about it, and it's really hard. Like once you've gone to a lot of places, like the two, but I could talk about some stuff. Maybe
All
I could
right.
say
That's fine. And tell
let's
us
see.
why you're going to share the ones that really stand out for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And probably I would say in more recent years, being probably the past 5 or 6 years, maybe even a little longer than that, maybe past 7, 8 years, I'd say. Um, Mexico City is one of my favorite places for sure.
You've said that
I
before.
I have, and I just thinking I need to get back there in the fall. So that's on my repeat list.
Let me just repeat that because there's a live delay. Nothing that you've done because you show up prepared. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. It's just some she said thing looking like my niece. Oh my gosh, Chandler does that. You were saying we were talking about New Mexico, and
Oh
so
no, I said Mexico City.
Mexico City. Thank you, Mexico City.
Yeah.
All right, so Mexico City and why?
You know, I've spent chunks of time there. Just so I've really got to kind of experience more of a living situation,
Mm,
and really more kind of ingrained in my neighborhood and
yeah.
culture, and so that's kind of a different experience. But it's a beautiful city because I mean it's massive.
Okay.
Um, to say that it is a massive city, but it's what you think of an international city. However, it's also very plush because where it sits
Mhm.
geographically,
Yeah.
it's like in a so we say a canyon or a valley or whatever, but there's a lot of rainfall. So you're walking through like this beautiful city and everything you think about city vibes, but then it's like a tropical forest at the same time. Like it's all this, greenery and in the middle of the street. Like it's just so I think yeah, there's some places that are just so gorgeous. Um, it really does have an international type of vibe, which I like. Um, not a lot of Americans though, I would say.
Interesting.
But
Like more
yeah,
Europeans.
yeah, I would say more probably Europeans.
What about
You know,
Africans?
shifting a little bit, but I would say, especially when I first started going there, but there's such a narrative, of course, like, oh, Mexico, everything, like scary all the time, so that's another thing too. I'm like, no, this is like a full ass city. Like, it's not like, so, but yeah, the arts and culture, food, the culinary scene is divine. And, I'm a foodie
Yes.
and, yeah, I'm kind of bougie adjacent in that
Except
way.
the time you would do those fish fries. I mean, I'm just saying you're bougie, but you can get real.
Oh no, no, I can go downtown when I need to understand this. Okay, it's in the DNA.
I miss those fish fries too, Tonya Jones. I miss those fish fries, girl.
I do too. We were talking about having fish fry out here in the desert. We have a desert fish fry.
I love it, and I think it should be outdoors. And so I'm just
Oh yeah, we're gonna have it in my backyard. It's gonna be great. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that part.
Yeah, and then let's see. Ah, I love the Peruvian Amazon. Love the Peruvian Amazon. Yeah, I would like to go back and spend more time there. And actually, this was a few years back that I spent a couple of months in Peru and Colombia, and even with Colombia as well, I realized that once I got out into these other areas, more countryside and more, I guess you would consider them rural areas or some of them tropical areas. But, again, like getting out of the big cities, that's where the gyms were for me.
Yeah,
I was like,
me
oh,
too.
so like I wish I known I shifted my trip to be less city heavy and more in those places. So by the time I got to the Amazon, I was only probably there for like a week and a half. But I bounced around throughout both countries a lot, and that was the place I was like, I love the Amazon.
Colombia and Cuba are
Mm-hmm.
definitely on my list. Okay, so we have the Amazon, the Peruvian Amazon, and Mexico City. And I know that was difficult for you.
I'm looking at my list too, and I'm kind of like, because recently, like last year, remember I went to Istanbul for the first time, and that's a whole vibe right there. See, we're gonna need another Fee King show for that.
Always do. That's why I'm thinking about every Friday to be our travel segment.
Okay,
all right, is there anything else?
And then like you said, our US, like it's a beautiful country. I mean, the diversity of our country as far as like this landscape and like what it has to offer is stunning. And sometimes I think we can underestimate or forget about it. Like, oh, I need to go to this place over here, this country, and don't consider like traveling within the US is traveling. And there are so many places within the US that I've been that are just like stunning. Like, for example, you go to Oregon, like Crater Lake, which is actually the deepest lake in our country. I did a road trip all the way from LA to Vancouver, and like the whole west coast of the Canada. I mean, it's stunning. Been camping in the wilderness, Washington, like it's beautiful.
You did a road trip from New York to LA. And I think you did LA to New York and then New York to LA.
Oh, I've done it 6 times. I've done different routes, like across, yeah.
Which I haven't done that one. I did it by train, remember? Because I stopped off in Harlem, USA. I was like,
yes.
I don't think I thought this through. But what I did, it was like a 3-day trip. I said, and then I forgot I was claustrophobic. And I thought in my mind, because I grew up loving trains, my father worked for Union Pacific Railroad in Omaha. He would bring me the little teddy bears with the overalls and the pin and the little hat. I mean, my mom and I watched Westerns together. I love trains. I don't know if you know that about me, which is why I took that cross-country, but I thought cross-country train trip from LA to New York City, and then to Baltimore. I thought the windows opened.
Oh, yeah. Nah, girl, that's a liability. You never know what people might be going through. They're like, listen, we keeping these things closed.
Oh my goodness. I was just like, I'm committed. But what I did that was smart though, was I got a one-way ticket back. I said, I don't think we need to go back on the train. We did it. We're here. We're going to fly back. Yeah.
It's a beautiful. I love the train rides.
I do too.
They have those passes where you could get on and off, like those 30-day passes. So if people just want to cross through the country, you could just have that and hop on and hop off, whatever you want. And I'm like, that's dope.
You know what? It needs to be in my near future. And for those of you watching right now, if you have a desire, an interest, a curiosity for travel, let us not put it off till tomorrow, because today is not promised. Right? Today is not promised. All right. So moving.
So, so your two favorite places?
My two favorite places, like you, it's difficult. However, I do have my number one. My number one is Scotland. My number one is Scotland. I think I cried every day for the first week. I was in Scotland for 3 weeks, and I just thought, no one told me that this was possible for me. And it was so dreamy and magical. I met the most interesting and kind people, starting with my Airbnb host. Let me just share with you about her very quickly, and then I'll go to my second favorite. I met her through the app Airbnb. I rented a room because I'm in a foreign country doing a show. I didn't want to be alone because I figured I would need a little help navigating, because I was there for work. I wasn't there just vacation. I was doing my one-woman show for the Fringe Festival. She opened up her home, gave me her son's room. I didn't know this at the time, so he slept on the couch. Yeah. She was so amazing. She was from South Africa, got a divorce, moved to Scotland. In South Africa, she worked for the court system. Like, she had a big job, big responsibility, big title. It didn't transfer over to Scotland. So now she's a manager at Starbucks. She took me to Starbucks, and I was like, oh, are there any local owned coffee shops? I said, because I don't really do Starbucks in the country, so I definitely don't want to do it here. She was like, yeah, but I just wanted to get you centrally located. And she took me around, her and her son. She rode the bus with me. And then when I left, so I stayed with her for 3 days. When I left her house, my friend, who you know, Lynn Connor,
yes,
publicity PR, publicity for you, Lynn Connor was treating her daughter Paris to a trip to Paris for graduating college. So somehow we connected on Facebook. I told her I was in Scotland. She was like, girl, I ain't never been to Scotland. We coming over. I was like, what? They flew over to Scotland. The town was so packed because it's the largest theater festival in the world. There was nowhere to stay. All of the hostels were booked, the hotels. And I just said, you know, let me call my former Airbnb host and see. My Airbnb host had someone. She was so loving, kind, and giving. She said, you know what, Fee, tell them to come on. They can sleep in my bed.
Oh.
What? And she didn't charge them. I was like, oh, I love Scotland. So that's my first. She didn't charge them.
Oh.
We had a great time. We hiked up Charles. I think it's called Charles. It's a mountain. It was incredible. Like, when I say I was in that town crying every day. I was just like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Edinburgh, Scotland is everything. From the guy that I hired to do my music. And I was like, oh no, culturally, I don't know if they're going to get the music right. American. He knew more about R&B music than I did. I was like, wow. So Scotland's my number one.
Okay.
This is challenging. My number two, this is challenging because there's so many. There's so many.
Yeah.
I think it was the experience, though. It would be Malaysia. Because I had no desire to go to Malaysia. And Malaysia was everything. I even went running through the town. I connected with people. It's a Muslim city. And so I was prepared. Someone told me that as an American, you should be covered up more than you would if you went to Hawaii. And I'm glad that they told me that. I respected it. It was lovely. Everything about Malaysia was the food. The food was lovely. Modern. I didn't know what to expect. It exceeded any expectations I could have had. Those are my two, but there's so many others. Thank you for sharing, Tonya Jones. All right. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. My third question for you is, why is it so important for women, especially women of a certain age and stage of life? Because it's really not the age, it's where you are in your life. If you're in the middle of your life, and you talked about that on Wisdom Wednesday, you talked about reframing your midlife crisis for a midlife reassessment. And I love that. I mean, Tonya, when I say I took that on, like I now own that. Thank you so much for helping me to see it differently. And you know, it's such a beautiful place to be because we've already been over here, right? From let's just
Mm-hmm.
say birth
Yep.
to 40, 45, 50. And so now if you're in the middle, you're on the other side. And what are you going to do on the other side? So
Mm-hmm.
why is it so important for women of a certain age and stage to travel? And that's the first part, and to be open to solo travel.
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you. Yeah, I would say so. I've always mostly preferred solo travel, which is interesting. Even, you know, it's always been travel has always been a priority for me. I'm always like when I look at like my biggest budget line items throughout my life, really since my 20s, it's been education and travel, like right behind it. You know, um, so that's one thing. First, before I even answer that question, that's one thing I want to just talk about really quickly because a lot of times, people think that they can't do it, they can't afford it, they can't do this thing. But then, go through your card, your debit card, or your credit card statement. So look at the money you're spending and see what you spend it on. Because you might find that it really is accessible. It's about like seeing if your resource, how you use your resources, are aligning with your greatest values. So
Say
if
that
like that,
again, please, slower. That was so beautiful.
looking at how you use your resources, are they aligned with your greatest values? Like for me, people might say you spent a lot of money on travel, but a lot of people spend like $500 on a car payment every month. Like for
Or
me,
shoes.
my Prius, I buy my car straight out. I never buy a new car. I get it 2 or 3 years old, and I'm like, I will ride that thing until it ain't working no more. Let me tell you.
I've
But
seen
you know, I don't play around. I'll need a new lease car every 3 years and give it all this money because I want to spend my money on traveling. So it's really about like that shift. So that's just something to put out there. Like if you think it's not accessible, just really think. And if it's really important to you, then maybe there's a shift to be made. If you really that's what's calling you. So I would say I've actually one. Everyone's not going to prioritize traveling if that's what you want to do in the way that you do. So when we talk about like solo traveling, if you're sitting around waiting for somebody, you could be sitting around waiting forever. Girl, let's plan the thing. We texting back and forth. When you go get your ticket, then like it's like all that stuff. Like, anybody got time for all that? Like when I'm ready to go, I'm like, I'm ready to go. And
Yeah.
because you end up not doing the things that you want to do, like if you're
Mm.
to do it with. Another thing I think people are like, oh, am I going to be like lonely or this, that? And I'm like, actually, no, I've had actually my best travel experiences traveling solo. I
Except for
meet
the
people.
DR with me,
I said most. See,
most.
I'm
And,
not all.
and the really cool thing that we did with the DR is we did half of it together, and then half of it you went off to Panama, half of it I stayed by myself because
Mm-hmm.
we're so in alignment with one another and with what one another needs with regards to travel. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay because it's and that's great too because yeah, like that's important too. If you are going to travel with somebody, you need to be compatible. Like for us, we ain't feel no type of way. Like we know we like to have like our me time too, you
Mm.
know. And I forgot to name Panama. I know only could name two of my favorites, but I love Panama too. But that's a whole other segment. I've been a repeat offender there the past few years too. So that's one thing, of letting people holding you back, like waiting based on someone else's decisions or priorities. When I do travel solo, I find I have more freedom. I actually engage more with people there than probably if I was with someone else. It just happens more organically.
Absolutely.
As people, if you've seen me on the Feed King show before, maybe cracking jokes. But, also I feel like my fear tolerance is lower or maybe higher, I guess, like I have less fear around certain things around travel. So sometimes I know if I'm traveling, well, there's certain things I'm going to do that they might be like, oh, they'll go here, do that, this, that, and I'm like, I don't feel like negotiating that. I like to be able to just kind of do what I do, and like I said, a lot of experiences I've had, I wouldn't have had probably if I was with someone. So I think that's another thing too. You can kind of just have more ease of movement and flow.
I
You
agree.
know, yeah, but here's the thing, even like, I do almost anything by myself. I don't care. But even like going out to dinner or something, like, oh, you're going by yourself. Like, I still like to eat. Like, just, whether I'm partnered or not, whether I'm with a friend or not, like, I still like food. Like, why wouldn't I? And I feel the same way about just about anything in life, including travel. It's like, I don't need someone else to help me like it more. Like, this is what I want to do.
I feel the same way, even with local excursions, whether it's going to a movie, the theater, like you said, going out to
Mhm.
eat. Even because I love learning New York City. And so I'll just literally go outside and attract a coffee shop. And I
Mhm.
always have conversations with people, whether it's the barista or someone who comes in. And again, if I have a friend or my partner, I might not have the same kind of conversations, or because we're engaged in one another, then you're not open to the other people because you're being present with the person that you're with.
Mhm.
I have
I
one
know
last. Mhm.
too. Oh, I was just going to say, add on to that real quick. Speaking to that too, I find when I'm traveling alone, people come to me a lot more because when you're in a group, when you're with someone, they're kind of like, nobody comes. But when I'm traveling alone, I'm like, talk to people all the time. Like, I don't really have to try hard. Like, it really just happens more organically when you're alone. Versus people
Yeah,
don't want to come like into your group or whatever, like that kind of
people
vibe.
are
So
people are far more interested in your why. Like,
yeah.
I do want to share one thing with regards to the finances around travel, because I believe it's also a mindset shift.
Hmm.
If you believe that it's possible, then the universe will meet you somewhere in the middle. The first time I traveled out of the country, I was in my early 20s. I went to Italy. Had never had a passport, so it was my first passport. Just all of the things. I was working a job making $8 an hour.
Mm.
And I just believed that I could go to Italy. My sister was in the military. She was going to pay for, I think, half of my ticket, but I still needed to pay for the passport. I still needed to pay for luggage, food when I get there. You must shop in Italy. I mean, let me tell you, I came back to the States with 9 pair of shoes and I made $8 an hour. So what I did was I really cut back on my socializing and I cooked. I was a chicken wing, what do you call those noodles, girl? Ramen noodle eating sister.
Oh, I'm about to say ramen. Yes.
I was about that life. I said, I have got to go to Italy. Like, I need to see what else is out there. So
Mhm.
again, it's really shifting your mindset. And back then, that wasn't the terminology I used or anyone around me used. But I just became extremely purposed and focused. And literally, when you start to plan a trip, literally, you start to feel the feelings that you're going to feel when you arrive. Like, as soon as you make the decision of, I'm going here, you're already on vacation. So, if nothing else,
Mhm.
it's worth it just to have that ongoing feeling. All right. So, Too Tight Tonya Jones, I have one last question and then we got to get out of here. And I'm hoping, because I know you're about to travel, I'm hoping
I am.
that you can be available every Friday. I would love to do a travel segment every Friday, but I want to know, for our audience, our women over the age of 40 or under, and our men over and under, how what would you like to see in the space of traveling? Like, would you be open to a webinar so that we could go deeper, go through steps, maybe plan? Do you want us to help you plan a trip, whether it's a solo trip or a group trip? Tonya's a big camper. I've never been camping. I've never pitched a tent. Do we want to go camping and have, like a meditation retreat? Like, what do you want? Is there something else you would like to add to that, Tonya Jones?
Yeah. Also about local travel because maybe like getting on a plane going thousands of miles isn't accessible right now, but you can be a tourist, quote unquote. Well, I say tourist loosely because I don't like to roll like a tourist, but that's another segment. But you can be a
Let me write
tourist.
that down. Don't like to. Go ahead, I'm listening.
You can be a tourist in your own town, in your own neighborhood. I can almost guarantee you, wherever you live, there are things that you have not seen, done, or discovered, no matter where you are. And I really like, even for myself, I like to do that too, or even something where it's like within a couple of hours where I could just get in my car, but it's feel like being in a whole new space. I love that too. So it doesn't have to be all grand all the time.
I think I agree. I remember living in LA and driving to Ventura County, happening upon the best. This was before, I think this was before cell phone cameras. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Happening upon, you know how I am, I like to travel everything. This was before cell phone cameras because I happened upon the sweetest diner. And I had the best at the time, chocolate chip pancakes. And first of all, I love hotels and diners. Hotels and diners. I am a diner, hotel. I'm like, I need a travel show. That's a whole other show conversation. So Too Tight Tonya Jones, I would like for us to pick up with I don't like to roll like a tourist. And then we'll keep throwing the question out so that we can serve the community because we out here. The world has opened back up. The possibilities are endless. And people want to travel. They just need some resources and some know-how and maybe a little hand holding. Will you come back to the Feet King Show?
Yes. I love coming on the Feet King Show. I got stuff to talk about.
So we're going to pick it up with Tonya does not like to roll like a tourist. Tonya does not like to roll like a tourist, and how you too can either stop or not roll like a tourist. That is coming to the Feet King Show. God willing, we will see Too Tight Tonya Jones next Friday, but we'll also see her every Wednesday with Wisdom Wednesday, brought to us by the one and only Too Tight Tonya Jones of the Radical Breath. Tonya, thank you so much for being here again. I'm going to put you in the green room while I do my close so we can chit chat behind scenes, because we're going to do a whole new show called The After Show with Too Tight Tonya Jones and Feet King. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Feet King. It's always a pleasure being with you.
Thank you, Too Tight Tonya Jones. Stay put. Don't go anywhere. This has been the Feet King Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Feet King, and I bid you love, light, peace, prosperity, possibility, positivity, not just for today. You know what I say, not just for today or this coming weekend or the month or the rest of the year, but for your entire life condition. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. TikTok is Feet and Nelson the Cat. And it really should be Sekou and Nelson the Cat, because I don't know that Nelson is my cat anymore. That's a whole other show. We will see you next week, God willing. Peace.